So this is a first for me. I'd like to, and there are actually microphones in the audience if they have some questions. But I, first of all, want to thank you for hosting us. I know we spoke in December about having an event that was global, that helped brought the world together to see Bermuda as a platform for as a security token hub. And you would find that there are people here from all over the world, literally.
14 countries, I understand.
Yes, yes, and this is true. And we're.
I read my briefing note.
Yes, and we've been having some pretty open, direct conversations about the business side of this, the legal side of this. I'm just curious, from your own prior to us coming here and helping to facilitate this, what inspired you to follow that direction, to want to bring folks like us here to look at the future of this industry?
Well, first of all, Jeff, it's a pleasure to have you in Bermuda. It's a pleasure to have you back. It's a pleasure to have you and your actual family and then your extended family. And I sincerely hope that all of you who have traveled to Bermuda and who have engaged in last evening's activities and today's activities are certainly enjoying yourself. It's certainly an honor to lead a country that is trying to be at the forefront of innovation when it comes to financial services, and Bermuda being a country that is built on financial services, and a significant amount of our economy is based on financial services. The reason why we are attempting to play such a major role is because we recognize that the future of financial services will be largely driven by the technology of which we're all discussing, which is distributed ledger technology and the different forms of which it may take. And so from that perspective, we believe that it's important to be a part of it. Bermuda's always been a place where we've innovated, and we want innovators to feel as though they can come to our shores, feel at home, work with a government that will listen to them, a government that can adjust regulations, and a regulator that can make sure that they have strict controls to ensure that consumers are protected, but industry can grow.
So because I've never had this honor before, perhaps never will again, I'll just ask, so what is it like to run a country? Like what is your typical day like?
Well, it's funny that you may ask. I'm not normally my happy, jovial, and smiley face today because Tuesday is cabinet day. And all of my cabinet ministers will tell you that after sitting in a cabinet room for 6 hours with each other, it's it's certainly a challenge. But that's the nature of government, and the nature of government is nonstop. But we have a mission. We have a mission to grow and expand our economy. And in dealing with that, it's constant work all the time. So whether it was last evening with multiple different events between putting my 2-year-old and 4-year-old to bed and then running back out to another one, it's just the type of things of which you have to do. But it's an honor, and I don't complain.
So, like, before you became premier, like, what was your concept of what it would like to be premier versus what it is to be premier? Like, where's the differential?
The concept was glitz and glamour and fun and travel and happiness and joy. And the reality of it is work and work and work and work and reading and more reading and more reading and more work and more work. But as I said, there are good, as with any job, and that's why I approach it. I approach it as another job. There are good days and there are bad days. There are benefits and there's drawbacks. But I can certainly state that where we are, despite my 2 least favorite letters in the alphabet, E and U, apart from that, you can laugh, it's okay.
I hear that.
But apart from that, things are, I would say they're going well. But we have the entire world is at a very challenging time, and the pace of innovation is going to mean that that innovators are going to be looking for jurisdictions where they can innovate, and that's what we want, people to feel at home Bermuda. So I know that Stan Stoliker is here on island somewhere, and I remember he had this hub culture event a week after I was elected to office, and of course I have an IT background, so I went down there and was talking to a programmer, and the word of which I said is that if you want to stay on this beach and write code and develop your intellectual property in Bermuda, you're welcome to stay here. And we want to attract innovators to our shores who can bring jobs and economic opportunity and teach people here as well how to be innovators, because that's important.
Yeah, I happen to be a very big fan of innovation economies, and being able to be positively disruptive, that because most of the things that we take for granted in our lives are someone else's good mistake. That I'm a very strong believer that we need to encourage people to explore in all aspects of that, to stumble upon something which becomes the future. And I'm quite impressed by the culture of innovation, embracing innovation and empowering people. So the people assembled in this room today are both entrepreneurs, attorneys, accountants, and others, and people that are here have a dream to build companies that perhaps will domicile here in Bermuda. And of course, people here are being hopefully positively disruptive to the future of capital markets. Is there something you're looking from us? Like is there a message to everyone here that you have besides a welcome? Like, is there anything we could do to help Bermuda prosper? Like, what would be a good takeaway from us to help you?
The positive disruption is a good thing. It is something that is welcome. It is something that Bermuda has had a history of filling the void when it comes to financial services from the beginning of whether it's captive insurance or whether it was Bermuda form insurance and reinsurance, the insurance-linked securities, and the different things of which we've done over time in that area of financial services. Clearly, when we're talking about what the future will hold, what the ask is from the community and the persons who have traveled here today is make sure that you interact with the team that are here. Because Bermuda has been able to be successful, as I call it, from the Holy Trinity. And that Holy Trinity is the government, the regulator, and industry. The government is able to make and change laws and regulations to suit industry. Industry is there to provide the feedback, and the regulator is there to be the referee, to make sure that we protect the jurisdiction, protect consumers, and be that independent watchdog to make sure that there's neither the excesses of industry nor the excesses of the government. And so when it comes to the items which we're able to accomplish last year with the Digital Asset Business Act and our regulations and rules for digital asset issuance, that was done in consultation with industry and with the regulator. And as we look forward to what the future of this industry will be and the type of regulations which may be needed and the type of certainty which may be needed for the issuance of security tokens, for the better functioning of, I would say, an infrastructure around how that works. We are here to listen. I'm sure that a lot of you have met Dennis Pitcher, who's a chief fintech advisor to myself. I'm sure a lot of you have met Kevin Richards, who works at Business Development Agency. You've met Wayne Smith, who runs a fintech development unit. And from that perspective, you are welcome to have the conversation with us of what it is that you're looking for. And if there is something that is not working in Bermuda that will have you considering another jurisdiction, don't just consider the other jurisdiction. Tell us what we can do differently. There was an instance, and I'm not going to name a particular company. There was a company that was moving here, and they had an issue. They had an issue regarding a residence of which they were looking to purchase, and they came to us with the problem. And a lot of times what we have inside of our structures in Bermuda is that we have some policies which were built for the insurance industry, which may not be readily transferable to this type of startup level industry of which we're talking about. And so we can make the changes and adjustments which are necessary, because what we want to do is we want to attract people to Bermuda, we want to attract people to innovate here, and we want to attract people to take advantage of the regulatory environment of which we have here. And if there's something that's standing in your way, if there's a cost consideration, if there's a regulatory consideration, if there's something else, if you talk to us, there's a good chance that we can resolve it and resolve it rather quickly.
I mean, personally, what I find really empowering is to be talking to somebody who, because typically when we disrupt things, we do it unintentionally in first, and then we discover, and then there's a gap because what we're trying to do, I happen to be born a misfit. I don't always fit in, but we are sort of like those round peg square holes, but we find a place. And when technology innovates, sometimes it disrupts the status quo, and then we figure out ways around it. What I find incredibly empowering is that you're being proactive, not reactive to new technologies. You're being proactive in trying to understand the future of finance to provide a platform for us to come and grow with, which I can't really say I know of very many countries or very many organizations, jurisdictions that do that. And so I say thank you, because it's really, it's fun. And I also want to thank you and everyone on your extended teams to helping me dream. Because when we met in December, I said we'd be able to do this, and see, this happened. And that happened because, you know, I never thought we couldn't do it. And that, I think, enabled it to be. And so I think that I use that as an example for many other things, but it's allowing yourself to believe that something positive can happen, it manifests. And I think to extend it into creating an environment here where the technology and policy meet, and folks who want to build ecosystems that contribute to the future of this platform, as much as build businesses that benefit from it, have a home.
And what we said when we met Jeff is that I want Bermuda to be the home of security token issuance and offerings. I want Bermuda to be that place. I want you all to understand that if you're looking to build something here, and if you have ideas and you say, you know what, it would be really nice if I could build this here. The challenge is that we need this, this, and this. Tell us. Let us know. As I said, there's a strong possibility that we can do it. But just so you know, Jeff, I'm a misfit as well. I'm a programmer in a politician's body. It's really hard.
Wow. Wow.
Yes. Everyone asks me what I'll do after I leave, and after I leave this job, and I say I cannot wait to return back to where I was literally in my office at my IT consulting company, writing requirements and designing IT systems, which is what I love the most. But those are transferable skills. I mean, so now I just design government systems.
I came from IT also. I learned to program when I was a kid, when I was, I don't know, 8 or 9. And what I found about programming was it's like time travel. Because you're sitting there, whether you're starting your day at 7, 8, or 9 in the morning, but it could be 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock at night. And all this time happened, but you got to the aha, and you found something, and you didn't realize the time actually was spent. But for me, it's like time travel, because you're in that moment, you're in that now of solving that problem, and you got it. So I think, you know, once you're a developer, you're always a developer. You may wear have other responsibilities, but to me, it's those types of passions that give you a background to solve out-of-the-box problems, and it's pretty empowering for me. But you know, outside of being premier, I mean, so I have friends of mine that met you at Davos, and so I heard of you before I met you, and I was intrigued. So when you do represent the country when you go to Davos, and you do also hang around some of the tech folks. What are your what have you learned by going to Davos that you wouldn't have gotten elsewhere? Is there like something special about going there, or as a premier perhaps, that others just don't get the benefit of?
Well, last year when we attended, I was not part of the official program. This year I was a part of the official program, and I think that just being at the World Economic Forum just allows you to meet a lot of different people that you would not normally have the opportunity to meet all at the same point in time. And there's a lot of people that are thought leaders and others that enables you to get that aha moment. So, I mean, there's a number of people who are here, actually, who I met for the first time in Davos. And so from that perspective, there was a lot of things that we gleaned last year. I was there last year with Minister Keynes, myself, and 2 others, and I think Sean Moran of the BDA. And we were able to invite, I remember Minister Keynes issued this infamous challenge that said, we're building the future ecosystem for digital assets in Bermuda, and if you want to be a part of it, then you'll join us in Bermuda next week. And surprisingly, people were emailing us on our way back and finding their ways to Bermuda. So we got a number of people who ended up in Bermuda next week. And we had to rearrange a whole lot of public officers' schedules in order to accommodate this. And it was, but it was just one of those things. And one of the things I firmly believe in life, you make your luck, and you have to take advantage of opportunities that are given to you. So from the perspective where we're taking advantage of the opportunity of which we have as being an international financial services center to make sure that we can be that place for the next evolution of what financial services is. And we've been successful to date. Things take a long time. People are skeptically impatient, I would say, if that makes sense. But they are impatient, and that makes people skeptical. But we are focused on our vision, and we believe that we're on the right path. And when you look at events such as this, where we have a lot of thought leaders that are in the room that are coming to our jurisdiction and saying, hey, this is something we could do here. Oh, these are the regulations we have here. Talking to regulators, talking to legislators, and saying, if you made this tweak or this change here, these are the type of things in which we can bring. That's the way that Bermuda is set up. That's the way in which I'm trying to make sure that the government is set up in order to deliver on those things, and we're going forward. I mean, there's a brilliant play. I'm sure that Dennis spoke about it, of what we're trying to do in the identity space as well, looking at attacking it from a regulatory problem as opposed to a technology problem. And there'll be other ways. But from the perspective of Bermuda, the only message I have for your guests is this is a place where you can innovate, and we will be happy to be partners along with you on that innovation journey.
Well, that's awesome. I mean, I would like to think that perhaps next year we can convene around a similar time, and continue, contributing to the growth of this space here in Bermuda, and really to help make sure people don't get blindsided. I mean, one of the things that I find inside of technology is that when you get so passionate about something that you don't see the other sides of it because you're so enthralled with it. And so what I like about this particular forum is no one's afraid to call bullshit on something. We may not say that, but certainly you could hear it in the voice. And so to keep it real is really important, because otherwise, if we're not keeping it real, we don't have the boundaries to understand where the pushbacks are, so it could be better understood. I mean, for me, being involved in immersive technology breakthroughs for a while, it's being misunderstood. That's the issue. It's not that the technology doesn't work well, but people don't always appreciate how it can be applied to affect positive change. And I think that, in the area of, something as specific but generic of security tokens, to me, what that means is something that I think maybe we could all agree with a definition of what that represents. But for me, we're at the cusp of a new era of finance. I mean, when I look at the financial engineering possibilities of being able to truly create programmable securities backed by smart contracts that get executed on theoretical ecosystems which just work because they were designed to do so, that enables an empowerment and creation of future ecosystems where we have an alignment between investors and companies and their communities that we never could do before. That one of the true benefits of the internet has been to give us network effect and being able to create financial instruments. I mean, the reality is, in the US, the SEC was not born on the internet, but blockchain was. And being able to live in an era where we could benefit from everything the internet has given us, in my belief, creates economic creation opportunities that's vastly greater than what the internet has delivered to date. And that to be at the center of that ecosystem by embracing all those components as you are, when understood by others, I think creates a very attractive space to gather, to be, and to drive that future. Are there any, I don't know, are there any specific types of companies, outside of insurance and outside of fintech, are there other industries here that you're looking to grow beyond the financial side? Is there, because you'll be surprised, but people here, like, they have friends in other sectors, and just 1 degree separation could be all sorts of other opportunities in this room for Bermuda. So outside of fintech, is there other areas that you're trying like this to bring to the country?
I would say broader on the technology side as well. I mean, from the perspective of the changing global standards. And when we talk about the changing global standards, specifically the standards around economic substance, the rules which will come out of the European Union, the rules which will be promulgated by the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, the OECD. The fact is that from the perspective of where Bermuda wants to be going forward, financial services is, yes, important, but we're also going to have to diversify our offerings. The beauty of technology is that technology does not necessarily require a huge footprint. And we want Bermuda to be the home, right across the street we have the home of an iconic company like Bacardi. And we're home to iconic companies in financial services and insurance. But we want to be the home also to technology companies. And from the way that global rules work, if you come to Bermuda, if you start up in Bermuda, if you have your mind management control in Bermuda, if you develop your intellectual property in Bermuda, that belongs to Bermuda, and that protects you against, others who may wish to say that, that your stuff doesn't belong in the country of where it is. So I think that's the place where we want to encourage, and it's from the broader technology space, whether it's fintech, whether it's other things. Of course, we can go with all the buzzwords. We want to go with AI, machine learning, and all the rest. The fact is, technology is limitless. Technology will be the future. And where you have a place like Bermuda, which does not have a huge amount of natural resources, but doesn't have a huge amount of space, but when you're talking about developing in technology where all you need is a laptop and an internet connection, we're there. And we have made investments in our infrastructure where we're the first country in the world that can run fiber to every single home.
Every single home?
Every single home. We even can run fiber to that island over there. Digicel told me the other day that they've now put fiber underneath. So they're running fiber to the islands and the harbor as well. And this is not, copper to the house. No, this is actually the fiber that's coming right inside of your living room. And we have, in the investments which we're making, we have an infrastructure fund which is actually looking to make certain investments, whether they be in our telecommunications industry locally, whether they be in small things such as transportation, whether they be in other ways. There are certainly opportunities here. So the encouragement that I would have for those persons who have been to Bermuda for the first time, I can assure you that it doesn't rain every day, but sometimes in March it does. Yeah, you should have seen it on Sunday. It was hot as hell.
Sunday was
I was out canvassing, which is something that I still have to do. I still have to knock on doors and go see people inside of my constituency. But all of that to say, we are setting up Bermuda for opportunity, and if you see opportunity here, if you say that this is a place where I think that I can build my business, this is a place where friends of mine can build their business, this is a place in which we feel that we can get something to work, let us know. We have programs in place where new businesses and entrepreneurs and startups can become economic immigrants to the country, can have a new business work permit, can start up new businesses and go ahead. And that's what we want to encourage from not only this space, but others in the broader technology sphere.
Well, I want to thank you for sitting down and addressing us. We have time for one or two questions. If someone wanted to be so courageous with a question or just stand up, we'll repeat it. Anyone have a question for the Premier?
Ask away.
Ask away. In the back over here. Get him a microphone, please. No, we need it. We just need, just make sure.
Okay, very good.
Just identify yourself, please.
Am I on? Yes. Blake Swensrud. Thank you for being here, Mr. Premier. What I've heard several times on this trip to Bermuda is that you've gone down to 2 cellular networks and that the prices for mobile services in this country have become outrageous. A couple $100 for 10 gigs a month for mobile local service. Is that the kind of infrastructure that can sustain the growth in the economy that's necessary? Or do you need a little bit more competition to create more innovation in this business?
I thank you for that question, and it's an excellent question. The simple answer is yes, we require additional competition. I do understand that there are members of the media here, so I'm not going to be able to answer your question as fully as I may, especially as I just left a cabinet meeting. However, what I will say is that competition in telecommunications is something that is certainly important. With a place where we are, where we have a technical duopoly, is not something that is preferred. And I think that there will be measures and steps of which you may see soon that will add additional competition to the domestic market.
Very good to hear. Thank you very much.
That was a politician's answer if I've ever heard one before.
Was that a wink I saw at the end?
There was no wink.
Perhaps one more question? Wow. Oh, okay. Yes. Do you have a mic near you? No?
I do. Hi, my name is Steve Massour with the law firm of MG+. I wanted to ask what kinds of challenges you had to overcome in essentially selling this blockchain focus to, within Bermuda when you were, this was one of the platforms in your election, and you had to sort of talk people through it in an earlier version of the blockchain industry. I'd love to hear what that process was like.
Thank you for the question, and it is a great question. A lot of it was overcoming skepticism and a lack of understanding of what it is that we were trying to do. The one place, however, where we did not have a challenge was with our regulator, because our regulator is very adept at understanding and recognizing trends. And they were actually incredibly helpful with the designing of the Digital Asset Business Act. I remember when we started approaching this issue, within 2 weeks they had a draft bill for us to go ahead and take a look and review. So the regulator wasn't an issue. What an issue was, as I would say, the legacy financial services institutions here in Bermuda, and recognizing the importance of the reputation of which Bermuda has enjoyed for a long time as being a jurisdiction that is very hard to get into and has some very stringent regulations. I think that they were afraid that if there were a whole bunch of, to quote, Bitcoin people, end quote, that would come to Bermuda, that it would damage that reputation that was there. We took a different perspective, and we took a perspective of building for the long haul. And the perspective was that we're going to put in place the best of breed regulations that is going to be at a very high standard that is typical of Bermuda, but is also going to encourage innovation on our shores. So it certainly was a challenge, and it certainly is a challenge now. I think it's less of a political challenge. There are still some politicians in our domestic market that will attempt to, I would say, poke fun at our efforts inside of this space. But we are certain still that we are on the right track. And events such as this, company formations, persons who are actually looking to do things for Bermuda platform, that are moving their operations here, that are setting up, that are hiring and employing Bermudians, makes it clear that we are on the right path. And we're just going to continue to go ahead and keep on pushing. There is a level of skepticism which will continue to exist, but the best way to beat that skepticism is to deliver. And that's to deliver on things that improve the lives of people. And I think that what we look with distributed ledger technology, it will improve the lives of people dramatically if it is applied correctly. And we're determined that Bermuda can be that testing ground. I will answer a question now, which which you asked before, which I'm surprised I didn't actually answer. I must be off of my game today after a very long cabinet meeting. What I will say is that one of the things that we often say on the road is that you'll have innovation hubs and accelerators all around the world. You'll have them in London, you'll have them in New York, you'll have them in Singapore. Bermuda is the only country in the world where the entire country can serve as your incubator. And if you were talking about demonstrating, you know, when we talk about proof of concept, or we talk about demonstrating something that actually works, you can demonstrate something that works in an advanced jurisdiction such as Bermuda that is very small, 20 square miles, where you can test it, where we have seaports, we have airports, we have hospitals, we have medical facilities, we have the entire works. You can demonstrate that here, and that is the ideal platform to then say, hey, look, we've done it here in Bermuda. It works. Would you like us to do this in your country? Would you like us to do this? We've demonstrated it here. And that's, I think, the best way that it can work. And so from the perspective of Bermuda, we're a small enough environment. You have the ability to go ahead and test out these things and where we are, and then you can actually take those to other places. So I think that's the place where Bermuda wants to be, and that's the place where it can position. So whether it's the tech guy I see from Core over there in the corner, who I met with a little, Ed, or Mr. Mason, or whether it's others, whether it's, you know, my good friend who I met in Davos, Switzerland, I see he's come up the front here, Mr. Gabriel Abed, and others. The fact is that Bermuda wants to be that place where you can test and demonstrate things, and then you can say, look, we've built it here, this regulation works, this is it, and if you can replicate what they've done here, then it's an opportunity for your business to then, after you demonstrate the proof of concept, you can start scaling that up to the rest of the world.
Wow, well, thank you so much, really. Give it up, please. Thank you. I want to just, again, say thank you on behalf of everyone here and me personally and my family for enabling us to, empowering us to bring us together. And I look forward to the opportunity for future events because it seems to be the right place to be.
Mm-hmm. I'm not going to label or give the shameless plugs, but the only thing that I want to do is to say that we will be having future events. I'm sure the business development agents will be in touch, but what's most important is that I want to thank all of you for coming to Bermuda. I want to thank all of you for your attendance, and please do not make it your last time. We are open for business. There is a very big team of service providers and others that can help you set up, establish, and do things in Bermuda. And at any point in time at all, If you are not getting what you want from the government of Bermuda, from the Business Development Agency, or any other agency in Bermuda, you are welcome to contact me directly at premier@gov.bm. One more time, premier@gov.bm. Thank you.
Thank you.